Hey there. So this is going to be a spine and shoulder practice. So what you're going to need is a blanket. If you don't have a blanket, use a bath towel, and then 2 blocks and a strap. And if you don't have like a yoga strap, just use like a long sleeve t-shirt or something along those lines, or maybe a soft belt, like not like a leather belt, but just something that we can have a nice stance and grip on. So we're going to start on our backs, but we're going to use two of our props right away. So go ahead and grab your blanket or bath towel, and we are going to roll it up. So a couple different ways you could do it. I always like to just unfold the whole thing and then fold it in half. So tassel to tassel, fold it in half again. You got this nice sized rectangle. So you'll turn it from there, and then you could either kind of like flat fold it a few times, or you could roll it from here. So whichever you have a preference for. And if you're not sure, just try one and you can always mix it up the next time. We're going to play this, lie this horizontally on your mat, and then we're going to use a block for our head. If you find that you'd like to remove it, feel free to remove it, but let's start there. So what I'm hoping is that as we lie across this blanket, it's going to go across the shoulder blades, and we're going to be taking the arms out to a T. And when we do that, we want to have it so that the blanket is below the arms. So with the arm shoulder height, if that's the case, then it's approximately in the right spot. But what I don't want you to do is be so high with the blanket that when your arms go out, they're just grabbing or being supported. The block has 3 different heights. What I'm looking for is some subtle compression into the rib cage, into the shoulder blades, or the space between them. This is where you could adjust to either that second height of the block, or if you're like, oh, this feels okay, then you could lower down. Just be quite mindful of what feels like what. We're going to keep the lower body for now in bridge prep, which is knees bent, feet down, just to feel nice and supportive. They could go wider, or you could drop them together for more of a constructive rest. But for now, let's just try to settle in with a few deep breaths out. And take a little bit of time to observe the breath here. Notice if this compression into the back body allows for the breath to feel more obvious back there. And we're just trying to be curious around it versus forcing it back there. And since we are lying on our back, we are lying on these props, we also want to drop into the support of them. So it can be easy to put props underneath us and then kind of tense and resist them. So we're trying to allow the back body to feel sort of heavy, to feel supportive. So notice if you're resisting any of this support from the back body, and we're just doing our best to let that go with, let's say, maybe 6 more breaths. Try to soften the features of your face. Try to allow for more ease in the front body for these last 2, 3 deliberate breaths. Great. And then wherever you are on that breath count, just let it go. We're going to take a nice, deep, full breath in when you can. Big, full, deep breath out. Just start to wiggle your fingers, bend at your elbows one at a time, maybe roll through the wrist. If you'd like, you could reach the arms to the sky. You could just kind of reach your arms across your body, give yourself a little hug. You are going to feel more weight into that blanket in the back body. Some of us may like this, some of us may not. Adjusting how it seems to be the most helpful version for just a couple breaths here. So just to let you know where we're going, we're heading to our left side. We're going to try to stack shoulder on shoulder, hip on hip. So be mindful of the block. So if the block's still under your head, just make sure you don't fall off of it. And if you removed it, I'm going to have you add it back because it usually gives a little bit more space for that bottom left shoulder. So you could have the block on the second height or the first height. You could adjust the blanket if it feels like it kind of flattened out at all and you'd like a little bit more support there. Again, the arm is going to be forward and out about shoulder height, and we want it above the blanket. The lower body, if it would be helpful to throw in any extra block or prop you may have between your knees, feel free to do that. Arm, top right arm is going to be just either draped on your hip, kind of cupping the blanket, or just somewhere a little bit we'll call neutral. So nothing crazy. Now we're noticing compression into that left side rib cage, and I want to try to breathe into it. Try to relax the weight of our left side body and breathe deep and calm. And with the blanket here, does it feel like it's harder to breathe into it, or does it feel easier to breathe into it with that awareness, that compression? Maybe there's a sense that as we inhale that sort of bigger breath in, that expansiveness to the inhale, does it feel like you're pushing into the blanket more? Or as you exhale and it kind of maybe softens and recoils, does it feel like the blanket's pushing in, or it just feels more obvious at the bottom of the exhale? And just that friendly reminder, neither is right or wrong. We're just observing. Great. I'm going to invite you to stay here as long as you'd like, or we're going to start to just move through that top arm. I usually like to say like I'm a conductor. So for me, it feels better to have the elbow bent, and you could stir the pot. You could be kind of reaching forward and then reaching up and opening up. But as you start this really slow and curious movement, there's some things that are moving, right? So if at any point you start to explore movement, you're like, ooh, I don't like that. As far as I'm concerned, that's fine to bypass that. But just be curious, right? There's things that we're moving. We're moving the upper arm bone. Maybe we're moving the shoulder blade. And maybe we're adding some movement in the spine. So if you do find that a range of motion or a movement doesn't feel good, maybe see if it's because there's movement in those places, and do we want to piece it apart and move a little bit slower just in the arm bone? Or do we keep the arm kind of lazy and do we just move the shoulder blade a little bit? Or do we keep the arm and shoulder stable and do we just move the spine a little bit? Right, so a few options here. Whatever you're doing, let's give this maybe 3 more deep breaths. Again, wherever you are in that breath count, kind of let it go. Take a big breath in when it works. Big breath out. I'm going to give us a handful of options for a little bit of a hold, not crazy long. You could take that right arm to the sky and start to peel open a little or a lot, hugging the right shoulder blade towards the spine, towards the left one, rotating the spine. Or we could keep the shoulders stacked and place your right hand sort of on your rib cage and roll that shoulder up, back, and away. So it's like the elbow and the upper arm bone are just dropping back. This can be a really passive stretch into the pec. It can feel really nice. If you'd like to come a bit more dramatic into a supine twist, maybe the top leg reaches more forward. Just be mindful if you have a block behind your head, if you're wanting to roll more towards the back of the shoulders, the back of the head. And then if there's anything else, right, you want to adjust, feel free to. Remember, there were pieces and different parts that were moving that felt different. So did we want to make this smaller? Do we want to make it bigger? But then checking in, can I breathe deep and calm? We're going to visualize the breath here around the center of your torso. Doesn't mean that's where it actually begins or anything. That's just what we're going to visualize, that the breath is at the center of our torso, and it's going to expand out as we inhale, and it's going to recoil back there as we exhale. Let's give this 3 more deep, deep breaths, both expansive on the inhale and then that oppositional recoil on the exhale. And if you're in a really subtle shape, just stay for another breath or two. If you're a little bit bigger or more dramatic, we'll wiggle the fingers. If the elbows are straight, I always like to bend them first. And then we're just coming back to side lines, super slow, mindful of your head on your prop, adjusting what you need. Just take a breath or two coming out of that. And what we're going to try to do is take the opposite movement or a little bit more of an opening through the front of the hip. So you can lift that right top leg about hip height and then just take that leg back behind you. So drawing it into extension. Or you could take the arm back as well, palm faces forward, or if it feels like you could grab onto like a foot, a heel, a pant. I would love for you to have the thigh more hip distance and hip height versus like up or super down. So if grabbing at that height and angle doesn't work for you, no worries. Again, you could just have the leg going back and the arm reaching back. So whatever feels obvious, whatever feels like it's pulling dramatically or subtly, let's take a few breaths, absorbing that sort of tensile stretch on inhale, trying to release it a little bit on our exhale. All right, do that again, absorbing any obvious tension on inhale, trying to release some of it on your exhale. One more time on your own. At the bottom of this exhale, a little squeezing in towards the bone so we don't slingshot out, and just gently come back to sideline here. All right, take your time, but we're going to be rolling to our front body for Sphinx pose. So I usually like to straighten out the legs, use that top right hand. I'm kind of pushing down, sliding my left arm through. The blanket, it really depends. It may be floating in between and you're not touching it much, or if you would like, you can kind of push it down or up or bunch it up so that you are getting compression. It shouldn't be like a really intense feeling. So if it is, maybe do less or back off the blanket. We're going to be here for a little bit more of like a yin version of Sphinx. So legs are going to go wider to maybe create a little bit more room in the lower back. On the tops of the feet or toes curled, either way, whatever feels better to you, just try to relax a bit through the kneecaps, the lower back, the upper glutes. That block should be hopefully nearby because your head was just on it. We're going to play around with 3 different heights, but for now, just figure out where you like your elbows. Do you want your hands closer or shoulder distance? We're going to try to like lift the head up a little bit so that the shoulder blades feel like they're descending a bit. And then we're going to start to let the chest drop and we're going to let the shoulders sort of creep up by the ears. Your gaze could be wherever it feels okay. So if maybe a tucking of the chin and having the forehead and gaze slightly down feels better, we're just going to go up and down, elevating and depressing through the shoulders a couple rounds. When you can't go anymore, just listen to that. No need to force. And then the next time you start to head down, when you feel like, yep, something's stopping me and it feels like not totally uncomfortable and you can definitely breathe here, this is where we're going to try to support the head. So you could be at the top, biggest height. You could try that secondary height. A yin hold, I would definitely try to tell someone to have their head supported. We're going to be here about 10 more deep, deliberate breaths. So you could incorporate this into a yang class and it be where the block isn't there, but they're tucking their chin and trying to relax the weight of their head. Either way, trying it out because this space between our eyes can be a nice stress reliever spot. So if you got your head there, you could gently rock slowly and lazily side to side or just keep that pressure, but deep, calm breaths. Deep, calm breaths. Great. One more big inhale. Big exhale. We're going to start to push down through our elbows a bit, lifting your navel just a little bit, maybe squeezing around your kneecaps. A little bit more active here. Just float your head and then start to lift out of your rotator cuff. So your chest is going to lift. You're going to not be hanging off of anything. You can walk the elbows more in. What we're going to be doing, I'm coming all the way back to my blanket. I'm going to be lifting my hips, shifting them back. I'm going to hug my knees forward. What we're going to try to do is now grab this blanket, put it at the front of our hip. It's going to open up the angle so that even if we could kind of flatten out, we're just having a bigger angle. So it's going to be a nice rounding in the lower back. And then I'm going to come into sort of a childish pose. Again, for me, I love having my head supported, and because it's a bigger angle, the earth might be a little bit further away from you. You could keep the arms nice and snug. You could walk them out. You could rotate the palms up. Some people enjoy that. If the blanket compression is too much for you, we could try just removing it. We could try maybe having it a little bit less thick. So we've been here a couple deep breaths, so maybe just starting to observe. We're trying to shift when it's not helpful, right? That's sort of that indicator. The breath is a really good thing to pay attention to. If we can't breathe through it, it's probably not super helpful. So trying to invite the breath in that expansive way into the lower back here, into the waistline. Great. One more deep breath in. One more deep breath out. Great. Take your time, lifting your head again, shifting your palms down. We're going to lift up to tabletop. The blanket can fall, or if you'd like that added support under your knees, pivot to get your knees on it. Let's just take some cat-cows here. Check out your wrists, your hand position. Try to be active through the hands. Try not to have the fingers kind of together and collapsing into the wrists. And then check out your elbows, see if you're locking them out, or could they have them maybe little to a slightly larger bend to them. So cat-cow here. When we're in that cat, we're flexing the spine. And when we're in that cow shape, we're extending the spine. One more round. We're going to head back to neutral. And then rotate your fingers away from one another. Again, wider than our shoulders. Try not to lock out our elbows. We're going to try to do scapular push-ups now. We're piecing apart shoulder blades together, shoulder blades apart. Retraction is when they draw together. Protraction when they push apart. Notice that the shoulders are creeping up by the ears. Try to draw them down the spine. Try not to grit your teeth. Great. Next time you push them apart and separate, take a big breath in and then exhale, round into cat. Drop your head, keep your spine like this. Next time you exhale, can you squeeze the shoulder blades together? Great, big breath in, round the front body, open up into cow extension. Try to keep this and then exhale, protract the shoulders, separate the shoulder blades, but try to keep the spine in extension. Big breath in, exhale, round the spine, flexion, cat. Keep your cat in the spine, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Big breath in, open up, extension, cow pose. Great, back to neutral for all of those shapes. We're going to pivot our left fingertips forward. We're going to sweep our right arm out and then under. That blocks in your way, pivot off to your side. You could move a little or a lot here. So try not to overthink it. Try not to force anything. Great. Next time you head out, I'm going to have you pause halfway. So my left shoulder is pushing the earth away. My right elbow is going to bend. So I'm in a cactus arm. I'm going to try to hug my front abdominals to keep this long line. A lot of stuff. Gravity's pushing on the back body. Try to squeeze your right shoulder blade towards the left one. So you're trying to retract the right shoulder blade. Try not to go into extension. Keep pushing the earth away with your left shoulder. Right, and then take a big breath in, and when you exhale, we're going to reach our right arm underneath us, protract that shoulder blade, try to keep your long spine. We're only moving upper arm bone and shoulder blade. Spine is still long. Almost done with this, I promise. And then open up into that cactus arm, retract the right shoulder blade. Great, and then exhale, reach it under, protract that shoulder blade. One more time because it might feel nice. Open up, sway out, big breath in. Exhale, right hand and gaze down. Push a lot through the right shoulder. We're going to lift that left palm, turn it upside down, drop your head and breathe to your belly. Big breath in, big breath out. Great, lift that left wrist, shake it on out. Great, if you're on that blanket for support on your knees, you're going to come off of it. We're going to do that whole series on the other side. So you could re-roll it, you could try a different roll. I'm pivoting the sides of my mat just so I'm not looking away from y'all. So block for your head, blanket roll. Right arm is going to be above it and forward. Head on maybe the first or the second height. Option to throw any other prop between your knees or that other block. No forcing if you don't want. And we'll just call it neutral, again, where the top arm's not doing anything too crazy just yet. So resting wherever you'd like. So we just kind of shook things up. And now we're letting them settle back down. This might be the side that feels better to lie on. This might be the side that feels more uncomfortable to lie on. Watching the breath and the heartbeat slow back down. And then just being curious about this compression into the right side rib cage. Does this feel about the same? Does it feel wildly different? We often don't have like symmetrical joints, right? Side to side. I mean, maybe it's something to strive for, but it's really probably unattainable for a lot of us between a dominant arm or leg. If we played sports, we typically injure like one side or the other of those at the same time. So is this side at all your tricky side? And we're just trying to observe sensation through that lens, that we're being open and showing ourselves grace. Versus like being really critical and needing to fix anything. Right, stay here as long as you'd like. No need to do anything else. Or if you'd like, we can move around through the top left arm, the left shoulder blade. Or again, you could add in the spine. Maybe it's like you're opening and closing a book. Anyone doing more rotation here, just remember to be mindful of your head on the prop. Just don't want you to roll off here. And again, just based on this side, you may have more range of motion, more limited range of motion. So we're not forcing, we're just being curious here. Breathing deep and calm. Great, and then we're going to settle into a shape to hang out in for a little bit. So for some of us, it might be peeling open and trying to prop ourselves up. Remember, you could move any and all parts of you. You can use any or all props. Or maybe it's just that more passive shoulder and pec stretch, hugging the left shoulder blade towards the right, left palm on that side rib cage, and you just drop that arm back. And if there's anything else similar or wildly different, feel free to offer it to yourself. We're just trying to slow down for a moment and breathe. Great, wherever you are, let's take 3 more breaths. Nice full inhales, nice full exhales. And then if your arms are straight, as in the elbows, wiggle the fingers, bend the elbows, move nice and slow, just back to sideline where we began when we got here. Notice the shift back to center, back to your side. Take a few easy breaths. And then we'll take that sort of quad hip stretch. You could be adding extension in the spine or not. It could be called cat pulling its tail or dancer on your side. But remember, I'm going to lift the top leg just about hip height. The heel comes into my butt, and then I reach that knee towards the end of my mat. I can reach my left arm into extension as well. Palm is facing forward, nice and active here. If you can easily grab onto something and want to, feel free to just have a lazier grip than not. Big breaths in, full breaths out. Great. One more time. Biggest breath of your morning or day or night, wherever you are. As you exhale, just a little squeezing and hugging in towards the bone to kind of slow motion come out versus slingshot. Back to that sideline one more time. Big breath in. Big breath out. All right, so this time we're not heading to Sphinx pose. We're going to head right into our tabletop. So take your time pushing yourself up. Again, if it would be helpful to have blanket under your knees. I always say if you got healthy knees, let's keep them. And if you got a little bit more a knee that needs support, then support it. All right, some cat cows, play around with hand positions, move around a little or a lot. Maybe you're doing some sort of rolling up and down like steam engines in the shoulders. Great, so I'll let you play around with any or all of the movements that we did before. And if there's something completely different, feel free. But we pivoted the fingers out. We did scapula push-ups, then we did cat-cows, and then we kind of did one of each and then kind of invited stuff. So you decide what that looks like. Just a little bit more time to be curious. Let's call it 3 to 4 more deep breaths. Great, and let's come back to neutral. Take your time. We're going to push more through the right hand this time, the right shoulder, and we're going to sweep that left arm out, and then we're going to thread it under. So this is going to be dynamic threading the needle. There's no shape that we need to force, so you're just trying to be curious about this. Great, one more time out, and then this time rotate to more of a neutral spine and bend that left elbow. Push a lot through the right shoulder, hug your front body in. So front and back body, spine stabilizers. Try to not lock out the right elbow. Try to squeeze your left shoulder blade towards the right one. Breathe, 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 breathe. Push the earth away with the right hand. Take a big breath in. Exhale, you're reaching the left arm underneath you, threading the needle. We're trying to maintain long neutral spine. Protracting that left shoulder blade. Push your through with the right hand. Try not to round into cat. Great. Open up into that cactus arm. Retract that shoulder blade. Hug the front body in. Exhale, reach across. Separate, pulling that left shoulder blade away from the right. This time, sweep it out, sway it out. Might feel nice. Big breath in. Exhale, left hand and gaze down. Find your way to your left hand. Push a lot there through the shoulder to flip your right palm upside down. Drop your head and breathe to your low belly. Great. Push a lot through that left hand. Shake out that right wrist. We're going to come down to our forearms. So your choice here, you could either reach the arms long or the elbows can be bent and the forearms are down, sort of a version of puppy. And if you're like, ooh, I'd like to go more into dolphin and be a little bit more active, just be mindful we haven't really hit the lower body yet. So we might need to sway and pedal out a little or a lot here. And just some opening, some curiosity on maybe the lats. So dynamic or static. Some people like to take the palms together. You can play around with different angles when you point them up. Does that feel more intense than if you point them back? Just seeing that tension system, real life in the body as it shifts. Right. If you're in dolphin, drop your knees. If you're in puppy, let's start to shift forward. We're going to take our hands nice and wide, so wider than our shoulders. Spread your fingers as wide as you can. We're going to shift as far forward as we can to curl the toes under, and then you're just going to shift as back as much as it feels okay. Like, I'm not saying you have to sit on your heels. But what I would like you to do is scoop and open your collarbone, your chest. You're going to try to be looking at the space between your hands. So maybe the shoulder blades are drawing back. I'd like them to draw down. I'm pushing the earth away. I'm scooping my front body. So maybe there's a little bit of activity into like a cat here, just like really subtly. And then stay here. Feel like you're about to hover the knees, or maybe you actually exhale and hover the knees. Open in the chest, shoulder blades down. Take a big breath in. Down dog. Again, this might be your first time in down dog or checking out that back line. So just some movement here or stillness, but your awareness, and let's say 3 to 5 deep breaths. Okay, spread your fingers wide, push the earth away. Inhale, soften your head on your heels, exhale. Do that again, push the earth away. Inhale, drop your head on your heels, exhale. We're gonna make our way to a forward fold. You could walk to your feet or walk to your hands. You can leave your blanket or you could step over it. Halfway lift, hug in the front belly, nice long spine. I like to squeeze my shoulder blades together here so I don't round in the mid back. And then exhale, fold. We're gonna do that 2 more times. Effort on the inhale, so active on the inhale, soften on the exhale. Great, 1 more time. Dropping to a ragdoll of choice. You can let everything hang. Some people like to bind on opposite arm or elbow. And if head above heart is more helpful, feet where it's nice, knees are bent, hands on your thighs. Everybody take a few deep breaths. Let's take 1 more big inhale. Exhale, let it all fold. Bend your knees, ditch your bind. We're gonna bend our knees a lot, lift your navel, and your heels push down as your navel lifts up, and then that's where we wanna try to roll, roll, roll to rise. Once we're all the way upright, take your time getting there. Shoulders are over the hips. Roll them up with a breath in, back and down. Do that again. Inhale, roll them up. Exhale, back and down. All right, we're gonna sweep our arms up to the sky. Right hand is gonna grab left wrist. I'm gonna reach up and to the right. Relax your kneecaps, relax your jaw. I'm gonna kind of bounce here a couple times, or option to head all the way into your side bend and then out. So really playing around with shoulders and some movement in the spine here. All right, the next time you head to your right, you're gonna pause. Okay, relax your jaw, relax your kneecaps, breathe deep and calm. I'm gonna start to tone this left side body because I'm gonna try to lift my left arm up, but my right hand's gonna keep it from going anywhere. Okay, tuck your chin, breathe, relax your jaw and your kneecaps. Should feel a lot of activity right here. Breathe, 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 resist, resist. 5, 4, 3, 2, big breath in. Resist, but let yourself wind back up to the top. Whew, eventually soften and ditch it. Roll the shoulders up, breathe in. Back and down, breathe out. We're gonna take our right hand behind our back with our left and same grip. So right hand to left wrist. I'm gonna draw my shoulder blades up, back, and down, and then sit bones down a little bit. So I'm trying not to go into a big back bend here. Right ear, right shoulder. I like to sway a little bit side to side. Try to let the bottom jaw drop away from the top. Breathe into your left collarbone. All right, big breath in, big breath out. Great, ditch your bind at the back, chin in, crown forward. And then when you go to look forward, roll the shoulders up. Inhale, back and down, exhale. Let's do that on the other side. Arms are going to go out and up. Left hand to right wrist, we're going to reach up and to the left. So This side might feel a little bit more crunchy, a little bit more open. You could widen your stance. Your knees can bend, certainly. Try to relax your face. You can kind of go fully in and out of this, or as always, it could be a little bit of like bouncing. All right, we're going to head into that lateral flexion, and we're going to try to stay in the shape, but I'm trying to resist. I'm trying to pull my right arm and shoulder up, but I'm going to keep it there with my left. Tuck your chin, relax your jaw, your knees. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Resist. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2. One more inhale with resistance. Exhale, let yourself win. Great, and then soften those arms all the way down. Relax from shoulders through fingertips. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Great. Arms back behind for that same bind. Left hand to right something. Left to your left shoulder. Sit bones down, chin slightly in, arms and shoulders sort of backing down. Breathing into this right collarbone. Great. Gently release your bind. Kind of let the arms slink down. Chin in, crown forward. And again, when you go to look forward, roll the shoulders up. Big breath in. Exhale, back and down. Great. Sweep to the sky. Big breath in. Forward fold. Big breath out. Bend your knees as much as you'd like. Halfway lift. Big breath in. Down dog. Big breath out. And just in case your blocks aren't near the top of your mat, you could certainly kind of acclimate yourself to have your strap and your blocks nearby. But eventually we'll meet in down dog. Some people even like blocks for their hands, right? It brings the earth up to us. Props are always a great tool. Wherever you are, big breath in, big breath out. We're going to make our way to a high push-up. We can always drop to our knees. We're trying to keep the hips forward though, nice long spine. We're going to try bending the elbows just a little bit, nice long spine. Shoulder blades retract slightly, just depending on how low you went, and then push the earth away and come back up. Great. You don't have to be on blocks. I just was, so I'm staying on them. You're going to lower just a little bit. Long spine, come back up. Great. One more time. Lower just a little bit. And push the earth away, come back up. Shift back to child's-ish. Maybe the hips are a little bit higher than that. Blocks or fingertips are going to walk to the right. Tuck your chin. Your head could relax onto your right bicep, or again, just tuck your chin. Big breath in. Big breath out. Great, nice and slow. Coming out of this just a little bit. So what I'm looking for is that this left hand is going to be on my left, on the mat, on my left mat, on the mat. I'm on the pinky edge of my hand. The right hand can be flat, or you could be on your forearm. What I'm looking for is we're going to inhale and soften into cow, or sorry, yep, this is cow. And then I'm going to exhale, I'm going to karate chop and squeeze into cat. I'm going to inhale, soften into cow, no effort on that karate chop. Exhale, squeeze your belly, karate chop your left arm, tuck your chin. 2 more times. Inhale, cow, soften. Exhale, cat, karate chop. 1 more time. Inhale, soften. Exhale, contract. Great, soften a bit on your next inhale. Walk it through center. Let's try that on the other side. So just coming off to the side to start. Again, it can be big and dramatic or subtle, doesn't matter to me. You could be moving a little bit. Great, and then if you're really far off your mat, just make sure that the right hand you roll to the pinky edge, that you're on the mat. So adjust however you need. I typically like to be down on that left forearm. Pinky edge of the right hand is down. My inhales, I'm more in cow and I'm softening. Exhale, I karate chop and I scoop the front body into cat. Inhale, soften, cow. Exhale, karate chop, cat. 3 more. Softening 1 more time on your inhale, and then adjusting yourself more to center. We're going to take our hands nice and wide, spread your fingers nice and wide, shift as far forward as you can, curl the toes, shift back as much as you can or want. Shoulder blades are down the back, scoop and open through the collarbones. Elbows are, again, a little bit bent. Either energetically, I'm pushing so much. Could I float the knees? Or energetically, am I just doing it? Shoulder blades down the back. Take one more big breath in. Exhale, lift those knees, shift to down dog. It's okay if the shoulder blades elevate now. In fact, feel them lifting up closer to your ears, but try to relax the weight of your head. That's what we're seeking. Great, make your way to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, lots of effort, big breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Roll to rise or sweep up. I'm gonna let you have about 10 breaths on your own. If you wanna go through a sun salutation, if you just wanna stand in mountain for a moment, if something altogether different sounds helpful, just kind of moving in a way that you can be curious. Great, take as much time as you need, but we'll be meeting at the top of the mat and we're gonna use our strap. All right, so again, if you don't have a strap, like a long sleeve shirt works. And some of us have shorter straps, some of us have really long straps. What I tend to do is wherever the buckle is, I tend to grab it and hold it so that I don't whack myself or somebody else with it. So you can grab the buckle part and fold it in half if it's super long, or if it's not, then you're just grabbing at any point. Bigger angle is usually more helpful. We're going to be taking our arms more forward. This is considered flexion. Arms are wherever you would like. We're just going to kind of go up and back in front of us, right? And then there's so many variations. Do you want to go up? Do you want to go back slightly? Right? So I'm going to let you play around with this for a little bit. I don't want you to force. I don't want it to feel like you have to do a certain range of motion. You could try regripping a couple times. Maybe you're like, ooh, I just want to do some side bending here, right? We have a grip on whatever we're holding. Try not to have the craziest, tightest grip here as possible, and try not to grit your teeth or lock out your knees. So I'm like walking around just so you can see different angles, but if you want to be moving that dramatically too, feel free to be moving, walking around a little bit. You could also try like big circles, right? Some hula hoop stuff here. Again, feel free to move through the spine, the knees, the hips as much as it feels like it's helpful. But we're trying to breathe deep and calm. Great. Let's find a position that we can sort of take a beat and then just allow for a moment to come out of that. Relax from shoulders to fingertips. Big breath in. Big breath out. All right. We're going to hold onto the buckle side, ditch the opposite, and we're taking it behind us. So when the arms go backwards, this is shoulder extension. So feet where you like them for chair. So I usually am a little wider than together. And I want you just to play around with a couple things. So we're going to try to exhale, effort, inhale, soften. Exhale, effort, inhale, soften. So what I'm looking for on that effort is that I'm squeezing around my knees. I'm squeezing around the back of my hip. I'm trying to lengthen my sit bones down. I'm drawing in the front ribs together. I'm trying to squeeze my shoulder blades together and take my arms into extension. So I'm retracting shoulder blades, extension of the shoulders, sit bones down so that I don't take my spine forward. Cool? Chin is it. So we're going to inhale, soften. Exhale, sit bones down, arms back. Inhale, soften, come out. Exhale, effort, arms back, sit bones down. Try this a few more times. Effort and ease. Great, one more time. And then the next time you soften, again, ditch the non-buckle side, maybe sway a little bit, maybe roll the shoulders out. Big breath in, big breath out. All right, you're really going to love the next one. All right, we're going to reset the arms back behind us. Take your feet to where you'd like them. We're going to be forward folding. So if they're super close together, it's usually a bit more tricky. So I would say hip distance to, if you want it to be more of like a Prasarita stance, feel free. So as wide as you'd like. I'm really going to let you explore. Do you want to bend your knees and just kind of get there? Or would you like to take the arms back and hinge and then fold? Do you want to keep the arms on the butt? When we go into hip flexion, which is what we're doing by taking the pelvic bowl more forward, here, typically the arms can go into extension a lot more than when we were just standing upright. So let's play around with that. So we're going to be, doesn't matter how wide your hands are, you can slide and open your grip, but we're going to try to pull the strap apart a little bit. Elbows are straight, but hopefully not locked out. I'm trying to pull the strap apart, and then could I take it off my back? And I'm not trying to go to biggest. So if you just dropped into it, it's muscular, it's full of effort. So maybe come out of it a little bit. All right, let's all keep this. Try to keep this. Try to maintain this. Bend your knees a lot. Squeeze your belly. Keep your head down. Like, pretend like I'm pushing on the center of the strap and I'm standing above you and I'm pushing on the strap. Keep reaching the strap up as you roll to rise. Reach the strap up and back, rolling to rise, up and back, up and back, up and back. Try to maintain that distance. You've got it. Again, you maintain it as you stand up. Reach the crown up, take a big breath in. Exhale, soften and ditch. All right, let's do that like 75 more times or one more time. If you want to try a different grip, if you want to go wider, palms forward might be nicer, trickier, just you decide, right? This is our practice. We're trying to be curious about some movement here. So make your way to a forward fold. Take your time. Relax your head. Take a few deep breaths. Again, we're trying to pull the strap apart subtly. And then I'm trying to go into extension. You could go to end range and be a little bit more passive for more of a stretch. Again, tolerating maybe zero pain here. I'm not trying to force. But then let's come out of end range just a little bit. Squeeze your belly, bend your knees, start to roll to rise. Pull the strap apart, lift it up. Pull the strap apart, lift it up. Roll to rise, roll to rise. Lift and maintain the strap. Shoulder blades together, arm bones back. Keep working, keep fighting for that range of motion. You've got it. Eventually standing upright, lift the crown, big breath in. Exhale, ditch. Great, that was fun. Let's ditch the strap. Let's find our blocks on the highest height. You could take your left hand on the block, or you can make a fist and give yourself a couple inches. Knees are going to be nice and bent here. I'm going to let my right arm sway out to the side. So my right knee is going to straighten and my left knee is going to be bent. So I have my left hand on the prop, my left knee is bent, my right knee is straight, and I'm sweeping out to the side. We kind of did this in tabletop. Now we're going to do the opposite. I'm going to start to sweep my arm out underneath me. My right knee bends a little to a lot, and my left knee now straightens. Great, and then I'm just going to keep doing this side to side. Left knee bends, I sweep out to the right. Right knee bends as I reach to the left. Couple more times, take your gaze wherever it feels best to you, or maybe that's maintaining some stillness. One more time through, and we'll take a big breath in. Exhale, hands and gaze down to the blocks. Drop your head for a moment. If you need, shake out both wrists or just the left one. Right, we're slowly going to come off the blocks and we're going to roll to rise. When your shoulders stack over your hips, roll them up, back, and down. And let's come into a chair. So adjust your feet where you like them for chair. We're going to take our hands to the sides of our rib cage. So it could be the palms are in, it could be the backs of the knuckles, and if you'd rather, just hands in front of you, but we want shoulders out of ears. So if this makes you hike them up, take them in front around the sternum where the ribs kind of separate. Okay, we're just going to go side to side here with some rotation. Elbows are pointing out to the side. It's going to give you nice feedback versus when we let the hips sway, or we did what we just did in that twisting, right, where we're bending and straightening the knees. So knees are staying neutral, hips are hugging in. When something stops you, stop, and then come back to center and try the other side. Great, we're gonna head off to the right and hold it. I know we've been here for a minute. Let's do some cat-cows. Inhale to cow, exhale, round into cat. Inhale, cow, exhale, cat. One more time, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Neutral spine, unwind, forward fold. All right, let's bend the knees a lot. Find both your hands on the blocks. Again, you could use your knuckles. We're trying to straighten the knees more than not. So for some of us, it just doesn't feel good. So don't feel like you have to, but they're more straight than not. I'm going to try to come into neutral spine everywhere except my cervical. I'm trying to take my chin forward. What we're looking to do is thread the sciatic, which is running through this glute. So I'm taking my chin forward where it originates out of the cervical, and then it's lengthening as we do this with the feet in dorsiflexion. So then we exhale and round. So what it's going to look like is I inhale, straighten knees, lengthen spine, chin forward. Exhale, tuck chin, round mid back, bend your knees. Lengthen on inhale. Recoil, exhale. Couple more times as long as it feels good. Great, last one. Let's let everything hang for just a moment. I'm going to ask that you sigh out a breath, hum out an exhale, or flutter your lips. So big breath in. Try to hit the reset button as we do all of that on the other side. This time, our right hand or right fist is going to be on the block. Knees are nice and bent to start. I'm sweeping out to the left. So I'm sweeping to the left, right knee needs to bend a lot to compensate. Hips are swaying here, knees are bending and straightening. And then I'm gonna kind of come through neutral. Both knees are bent about equal. When I go to sweep under, left knee bends a lot. Left shoulder blade is trying to separate and my right knee is straightening. And then we kind of come back through center, sweep out to the left, right knee bends. Neutral, reach it under, left knee needs to bend. Right, sweeping out to the side, right knee bends. When you come back through neutral, reach to the right, left knee bends. One more time, nice and big and dramatic. Inhale out to the side. Exhale to unwind. Great, halfway lift, big breath in, hug your belly. Exhale, forward fold. Let's bend our knees a lot. Reach your sit bones down, lift your navel up. Arms and head are heavy. We're gonna try to roll to rise from the shape. I know it's goofy. Heels down, navels up, sit bones down. It's like you're trying to lift your pelvic bowl neutral and then you're trying to lift and stack the vertebrae on top of it. It's super goofy. Knees are quite bent. Eventually shoulders over hips. And then shoulders up, back and away. Do that a few times. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. Let's do it one more time. Give yourself a few deep breaths in mountain pose. All right, we're going to come into chair pose. So adjust your feet how you like them. Again, hands could be at the sternum or up to the side. I went elbows out, so it gives you feedback on those ribs where they're actually pointing. Shoulders out of ears. We're going side to side. Hips aren't moving. Hips are staying stable. So it's going to be more thoracic movement. If we can invite that rotation there, it's so important for lung capacity. Keep breathing into your rib cage. Next time you head to the left, we're pausing and we're doing some cat cows, tucking sit bones, tucking in chin, opening up. Keep breathing. Exhale, effort into cats. Inhale, open up into cow. One more time. Back to neutral, unwind, slowly stand up. Great, shake it out if you need. All right, to the top of the mat we go. Last opportunity to take a little flow, or if there's just something altogether different you would like to do. Sometimes it can feel nice to shake it off. Sometimes it can feel nice just pausing. Again, what would be helpful here? We're gonna finish up on in a seat to do a movement with a little bit of observational breath work, and then we're gonna finish on our blanket roll. So for any reason, if the blanket opened up, got a little bound down, again, you could re-roll it or restack it. And we're gonna come to a seat, so you could sit on blocks, you could sit on the blanket, it could kind of swaddle you. And If sitting on the floor is really uncomfortable, you could absolutely just grab a chair for a moment. We're going to just do a little series here. I like to usually have it swaddle my outer hips. Just feels a little bit more helpful. All right, so the movement we were just kind of doing in our chair, we're going to try to mimic it right now. So we're going to try to take our arms in front of us, probably lower than shoulder height, just to really hopefully drop the shoulders here. You can always just kind of grab on for a hug, but the elbows are going to be higher. I'm going to keep my gaze forward the whole time, and I'm looking to keep my hips from moving. So I'm trying not to be rigid in the skull, the neck, the face, or around the hips. I know it's tricky, but we're going to keep looking forward. But can you rotate your arms and your mid-spine to the right? And then come back to center. Great. Keep your gaze forward. We're twisting to the right. Come back to center. Keep looking forward. So I'm just going to keep saying that. Keep looking forward. Twist to the right. Back to center. Twist to the right. Come back to center. Lift your spine up. Twist to the right. Keep looking forward. Great. Off to the right. Back to center. One more time. Off to the right. Back to center. Slowly drop your arms. Relax your face. Big breath in. Big breath out. All right, sit up a little bit taller. Roll your shoulders up. Breathe in. Back and down. Breathe out. We'll do that one more time in the other direction. You can reset your arms. You could do the opposite if you remember, and if it felt like it was fairly neutral, you can mimic it. Again, shoulders out of ears, so maybe elbows a little bit lower than the shoulders. We're going to keep our gaze forward as we rotate to the left. Gaze forward. And then come back to center. Gaze forward, hips aren't moving, just the thoracic. Gaze is forward as you rotate to the left, and then come back out. Great, gaze forward, twist to the left, come back out. You're continuing to breathe, or if you found like inhaling in neutral, exhaling into your twist, inhaling back to neutral, exhaling for a pause, right? So you can kind of do this however you'd like. We're shooting for about 10. That's what we're looking to do, about 10 rounds. Off to the side, keeping gaze and lower back neutral. Let's shoot for 2 more. Gaze is forward. When something stops me, I observe. Coming back to center. Gently release. Let everything soften. Nice tall spine. Let's allow it to support us. So shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. Soften the face. Soften your belly. All right, we're going to come into, we'll call this Shavasana, but if you'd like, by the end, when I give you a little bit of freedom, you could come off the blanket. But we're going to be coming to our backs, and we're going to use this blanket roll to support most of the spine. So what I like to do is just throw it behind me on my mat. Then I come in front of it. I'm going to leave a gap. I find that when it's filling out this way, my lower back, it tilts the pelvic bowl forward and it puts me in too big of a back bend in the lower back. I don't enjoy that because I want this to be really passive, not active. So there is a gap, and then I'm just going to lower myself down. So it's like all of the thoracic and the back of your head. So I didn't scoot and lift my butt onto it. And if when you lay back, you're like, oh yeah, I see what she's saying, where it shifted your pelvic bowl forward, or when we're on our back, that means more to the sky, and that feels a little crowded in the lower back, just scoot more forward to the end of the mat to give yourself more space there. So it could be a lot higher where it's just starting at the spine. As long as it's okay in your shoulders, I know we just did a big old practice. Arms to a T, palms are up. Maybe squeeze the shoulder blades together for a moment or wiggle them together and draw your chin in. And then exhale, soften everything. Knees can stay bent. You could drop them together, or if you'd like, you could slide your legs out nice and long. It will affect the spine though. Again, just observing this effort and ease, noticing that we shook everything up and now we're letting it settle back down. So just do your best. What do you notice? What do you observe about the settling back down? And if this feels really helpful, then this is where you're going to stay for truly as long as you'd like. If this isn't the best way to end, if your legs are out, just make sure that you have the support of your feet with your knees bent. You could roll to a side, or if it feels okay, you can kind of rock your thighs in one direction and gently adjust. I usually really like the blanket behind the neck. Sometimes if it's too big, you unroll it a little bit, and then you have a partial roll under the neck, and then you can kind of swaddle the rest of your head. That could be really lovely. So this is your time to decide what this looks like. So taking just a moment to thank yourself and inviting gratitude for all the times it felt simple, fun, easy to be in our bodies, to be able to practice gratitude. And for all those other times it was more tricky, complicated, uncomfortable, we invite in grace. With that grace, with that gratitude, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Take as much time as you need.